It's a very joyous time for us all because it's constant celebration and constant busyness and constant awareness of the scene in Bethlehem and wondering how we're going to make it through the next affair that we have. What is one of your favorite things?
Um, we've enjoyed getting together as a family on Christmas, either at somebody's home or on occasion we've been to other places like Cedar Hills, where we gathered for several years, and we had 2 years at Maumee Bay State Park, which were a lot of fun. So having the family together is certainly an important tradition, especially when they are far-flung like they are now.
Some of them are farther flung than we really expected them to get flung. We really didn't want to say, "Go west, young man, never come back." But they are two of the most delightful ones live in Europe, and we wish they were closer sometimes. One time when they were all together, Tom blew everybody's mind by going around and saying, "You say grace in your language, you say grace in your language," and they were all our family. But none of them spoke the same grace. They all said a grace. We had really...
It was 9 different languages.
It was not only the German and French and Spanish and American that you expected, but there was Hindu, and there was... Go on, you remember the rest of them.
There was Swedish.
And Greek.
And Greek. And Gaelic.
Yes.
Hebrew.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yep. So we had, it was, by the time you count them all up, there were 9, and that was fun.
You think of a fun time that you don't want me to talk about?
No, I don't think we had fun at any of those times.
Oh, okay, we didn't have any fun. All right, what about the, Betsy organized the walks, the races last winter.
That was the fun run, which was great, and then for those of us who were not quite up to running, it was a walk and talk.
And they won something big when they got in.
They all got a prize, but Connor got first prize for his Speed Demon run.
Connor is our number 1 grandson. We have a number 2 grandson now, but the number 1 grandson was already 18 years old when the number 2 came along, so they both have championship statuses. Mm-hmm. And the 2-year-old is almost 2 years old in Sweden, and we wish that there was an easier way to get back and forth, but we're going to be seeing them soon after. And one of my favorite times was when they were all in the Christmas pageant, and there was always a Christmas pageant. In fact, in our family, there's a book. Oh, I wish I remembered. Barbara Robinson, but she's the author of this book about the best Christmas pageant ever. And when I discovered that when I was taking a Kitty Lit course at Wayne, and I got this book, and it's just hilarious about these people who never had any fun at all, and they were taken to the church, and they made noises about it all. It was just hilarious, and so we've read that every Christmas. Somebody reads the best Christmas ever, and we all go into semi-hysterics. One year, we had a close call on it because the Christmas tree had been brought in by these older people. I mean, they were older, they were getting in their late teens or 20s, and you knew they could pick out things. But the one they picked out and brought into the living room and set up was the original Charlie Brown Christmas tree. It was falling over every which way, and that was a wonderful time. But tell them about going to get the Christmas trees. That was fun too.
Several years we went over to a Christmas tree farm north of Ann Arbor, which had provided you with a wagon ride, and with hay. You would go out to where the Christmas trees were, and you'd have a chance to pick out your own tree at a very modest cost. That was great. And then they would cart us back on the wagon to the home where everybody was furnished with an apple. So it was really a worthwhile experience, even though it took us about 40 miles to get there from...
it cost so much?
Oh, it cost $5, I think. A major expense for
that wasn't where the Charlie Brown tree came from.
Tell them about Christmas pageant at Christchurch, Rambler.
Oh, at church, 5 o'clock service on Christmas Eve. And the young people were all involved. Well, we have a lot of young people, or we have had. I guess we still do have. And one Christmas, the boys were all in Arabic garbs being, I don't know, not pirates, what do I want to say?
I think that they were
Shepherds or kings. And then the two older sisters, who are the oldest in the family, took turns being the Virgin Mary, and the baby was our baby. Philip was a year old, or less than a year old.
Less than a year old.
And he was in the little funny font. And so we were all singing lustily. So it was a really wonderful Christmas celebration. All right, the Mystery Santa. It was while we had measles, and we were not able to go anywhere. And somebody rang our doorbell. And everybody who was sick with the measles didn't come running, but I did. And there on the porch was a bag, a paper bag. And so I scooped it up, thinking, what's this all about? Got inside and looked in it. There were wrapped up Christmas presents for each of us. And they were quite appropriate. There was one thing that didn't strike me right for one of them, but everybody was just, and that was the Mystery Santa.
That was about 50 years ago, and even to this day, you still don't know who it was.
No, we not only don't know, but the people that we then did it to them, they didn't know who we were either. So it was a wonderful custom to pass on when somebody's been sick or if there's been a death in the family. And while we have lost a couple members of our family who were funny in those costumes, but they brought us two new daughters. So we have got two daughters-in-law now that are always were wonderful. The boys chose them, but they turned out to be really wonderful. And I didn't know the boys were that clever. But anyhow, they really were.
We had the family together in August, and there was a fun celebration. We were up at the Kensington Metropolitan Park in the Detroit area, and that was a great time. We had good weather and wonderful outdoor experience, as well as inside for the gathering. Part of that was a memorial for our son Jim, who died earlier in the year, and it was a way to honor him with as many of the family present as possible.
Everybody was there.
And we certainly enjoyed that.
It's sort of nice to sit down with all those turtles going around and the owls, and it was really a fun place to be. And they were very cordial to our taking over their housing for a while. So that was lovely.
We hosted the Perrys, Dane and Constance Perry, who came to Ohio for a screening and conversation concerning traces of the trade, which we very much supported, and we had a good time with them. They are always a fun pair to have, and they had 11 screenings in the Northern Ohio area, and good attendance, and it was a lot of fun.
This movie won awards on PBS, and there were 9 of the cousins, a very spread out family. We were not invited, and we were cousins.
Joined.
9 of them joined and went and followed the ships from the slave trades, from the slaves in Ghana up to Cuba, where the plantations fed them and raised rum to make money, and then brought them into Rhode Island. Anyhow, and the thing that's exciting about it is that these two people, after you see this dreadful history unfolded in front of your eyes, and even though you may be partially related to it 300-400 years ago, you still can feel pretty badly about it if you have any issues about race, or think anybody else has. And these two people are very skillful at saying, how did you feel when you saw that? And the audiences were spectacular. All kinds and sizes and colors and descriptions, but somebody would speak up, and they'd talk about guilt, anger, all kinds of feelings about the race thing. And it's catching on more and more and more. Of course, there are lots of other things like that going along now to help us get past this awful obstacle that's been in the way of the health of the United States, and in fact, more than practically anywhere else in the world.
One wonderful thing that happened this year was for Livy. Livy in Europe was in a one-act play and she won the award as the best supporting actress for the competition, which they had.
13 years old, and she won the Supporting Actress Award. Keep your ear out for Olivia Austin. And father...
Not a child actress, but a supporting actress.
She was so good. And he got one that wasn't even supporting or child. He has gotten a scholarship award. The scholarship will be given in his name to students of the CPA world. The AICPA has designated it the P. Thomas Austin Award for competence in knowing how to plan estates and plan incomes and expenditures and yes.
More expenditures than income.
More expenditures.
Okay.
That's what we've been experiencing, but that's all right. But it was a very big day, and he's been doing this program for the American Institute of CPAs for 33 years, and I just am very impressed with how much they do all the time, and bring all kinds of hundreds of people.
And you got to be there for the presentation.
They came up and got me and said, "Don't tell him anybody. Your husband's going to get something today." So I put on my best bib and tucker and went down. And now we'll tell you that Jack's oldest of two girls is in Bryn Mawr as a freshman with high grades, doing wonderfully. And so she came over from Germany to go to school in Philadelphia, where her mother and her grandfather on her mother's side, everybody came from. And that's a very happy story. Livy fell down and hurt her leg, and then she went to this art camp where she won the big award for acting, and her leg has been surgically treated, and now it's being exercised to death, but she's going to be okay.
She is going to be okay.
And then we had Jack, the mother, who got angry. He didn't get angry. The cat got angry, and the cat stuck his claws into Jack's hand. And Jack is a pianist, and he's the one that runs these programs for the Army, and he has to have his hands going all the time. And the cat really...
There was more of a bite than there was the claw, Annie.
Oh, no, they said the claw went right down inside his finger.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe you're right. Anyhow, and then there was Betsy. Betsy has been sitting in a chair, looking down at the floor with her head in some kind of a holder, so that the bubble they put in her eye will stay there and help the retina get refixed, because it had torn off in so many places, and she had a lot of eye surgery for it. And so she's been looking at floors for a couple of weeks and being a good sport about it. Otherwise, most of them are fairly healthy.
Yes. Including you, because of your continued improvement, which we are very pleased with.
Well, I've always been pleased with you for your continual improvement, too.
Uh-oh. One thing that is for certain now is that we're going to gather in November in Arizona, not far from the Grand Canyon, so that we can get up to see the Grand Canyon and some of the other wonderful things that are around there. Beautiful area, and it looks like a very significant part of our family will be there, so we're really looking forward to that.
Including our new daughter-in-law's mother from Sweden, who is Swedish, as is our daughter-in-law, and we have a grandson who is part Swedish and part American. And we have pins to wear to prove it. And he loves daycare now. He runs around. Well, it's an extremely happy situation over there. In 2011, we're going to hope the health issues keep moving right. And everybody, I hope, is going to keep on dancing and hiking and exercising and having fun runs.
Anne's going to have her 60th college class reunion at Wellesley next June, and hopefully she and I will be able to go there. And then also in the Boston area, the AICPA is having its 34th annual estate planning conference, and in connection with that, although right before or after, we're expecting many of our total family, extended family, to arrive for a private showing of Traces of the Trade, and the discussion to be led by Dane and Constance Perry. And as of now, it looks like we're going to have about 40 people in attendance, and that's a large group, and we're very, very pleased with it. Forward to Connor's graduation and to Jenna's graduation, and there will be a few specific events like that that'll be fun for us too.
Joyful celebration, celebrating and giving thanks.
And a very, very Merry Christmas to all of you.